Welcome back to the Millennial part. Firstly, apologies. That break was a lot longer than I'd anticipated because sometimes life just happens. The Hollywood summer blockbuster season is done and dusted. So I thought I'd start looking elsewhere for stories to talk about. A couple of weeks ago, one of my most anticipated Hindi films of the year, War 2, released in the theaters. My wife and I went to watch it opening weekend, and honestly, I hated it. Big letdown. Big letdown. I walked out feeling like an idiot who just wasted tons of money. But a movie's a movie, so I thought I could pull off a video on that. A roast, a rant, something, anything. But the writing for that video never really clicked for me. As someone who loves movies and tries to find the best even in the worst, that roasty, ranty approach just didn't come naturally to me. Add to that a botched midnight shoot where my mic gave up on me within 5 minutes on 30 minutes of recording. So the plan was to redo that video, but sometimes, just when you're wallowing, life throws you a treat. My wife had a rough couple of days at work, and I wasn't feeling great either. So we ordered Macca's, put on Prime Video, and there it was. Superboys of Malegaon. I'd missed it in the theaters, but I'd heard some really great things about this movie. And I'm not exaggerating when I say this. It is one of the most powerful Hindi films I've ever watched in my life. See, in Hindi cinema, there are these high-walled creative societies. They sometimes overlap, but usually have their own rosters that they stick to, kind of like your Mumbai Indians and your Kolkata Knight Riders. In YRF, you'll find Shah Rukh, Preetham, Vishal Shekhar, Manish Sharma, and Vijay Krishna Acharya. In Dharma, you'd often find Siddharth Malhotra, Varun Dhawan, Ranbir Kapoor, Ranveer Singh, and in the VB camp, you would always find at its center Vishal Bhardwaj, Gulzar Sahab, and Meghna Gulzar. And in the former Phantom Society, you would often find a Vikramaditya Motwane, an Anurag Kashyap, or a Vikas Behel deeply embedded in all their projects. And then there's this tight-knit creative community that has never failed. Even at their worst, they're still brilliant. Think Dawn, Dawn 2, Dil Chahta Hai, ZNMD, Lakshya, Dil Dhadakne Do, Rock On, Talash, even Lagan. I'm talking about the most influential and driven creative force in all of Hindi cinema, with names like Farhan Akhtar, Javed Akhtar, Soya Akhtar, Reema Kagti, Shankar Ehsan Loy. You probably know this group better as Excel Entertainment. And look, Javed Saab has nothing left to prove. Neither do the rest, but their ingenuity is still unmatched. To their credit, they're not on top because of their financial muscle, but because of sheer craft and creativity. Every film I just named has hit millions of us at a deeper level. Whether you're a defense aspirant, an aimless college grad, a struggler from the heartlands, or a big city dweller with a crisis of faith, the work has spoken to us over the years. And then every once in a while, there comes a movie that doesn't just speak to you, it becomes an extension of you. It stirs your soul, moves you, and makes you see yourself in every single frame. And personally for me, Superboys of Malegaon is that film. Directed by Reema Kagti and written by Varun Grover, this is a pretty straightforward movie. The premise, you ask? A group of friends in a small town with barely any access to cinema. One of them decides to make a film. The others rally around as actors, writers, and crew. There's no budget, but they still end up making that movie. And then some more. There's a conflict, a falling out, life comes in the way, and yet they come back together to make something truly special. I've always said this. Films hold a very special place in my life. I still remember how I felt walking out of Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, Hello Brother, Pyar Kiya To Darna Kya, and Dhoom. But as I grew older, my taste evolved, but cinema always remained an extension of myself. So when I watched this movie, a premise so close to my soul as a movie lover, it hit me in ways I can't even fully put into words. And Superboys of Malegaon is now for me one of the most special films ever. Now let's talk about the Spirit of Malegaon and the true heroes behind this movie. Because believe it or not, this movie is inspired by real life people with real life work. So back in the day, there were these lads in Malegaon, a town that's about 200 kilometers away from Nasik, who in the 90s, amidst peak communal tensions, started making parody versions of Bollywood classics to give the local Muslim population a chance to laugh and to escape. Now, most people in this tiny town either worked in mills or they ran some smaller businesses like shops. And these boys, on shoestring budgets, built an entire local film industry that even runs today. And if you want to talk about independent cinema, this is it. No film school degrees, no big studios, just passion, ingenuity, and the will to create. And then you add Reema Kagti's direction and Varun Grover's writing at the helm, and what you've got is a masterpiece. Now let's talk about the storytelling and the direction. Like I mentioned, this isn't a complex story. No twists, no globe-trotting, no high-octane spectacle. It's fairly straightforward, even familiar at times. Creative and ego clashes, money issues, and a terminal illness that gives everyone purpose and brings everyone together. Here's the thing, I'd rather have a simple story told brilliantly than a complex story told poorly. And this simple story was executed with brilliance. Absolute brilliance. The first 5 minutes of the movie, come on, Bollywood, just take some notes here. What you get to see is just everyday Malegaon. Shops opening, looms clattering, and people settling into their day. And the way it was done, that's what true world building is. No exposition dump, no artificial glamour, just regular, ordinary life. And just within minutes, you are immersed and well placed into the town of Malegaon. And that is all Reema Kagti's genius. It's the same craft we saw in Talash and Gold, and even in her work as an assistant director on movies like ZNMD, Lakshya, Dil Chahta Hai, and Lagan. Here's the real deal. She respects the setting. If the town is shabby, it's shabby. If the people are struggling, they're struggling. No whitewashing and absolutely no exaggerated poverty porn either. Just sheer authenticity. And then there's Varun Grover, the writer, the man behind some brilliant work like Masan, Three of Us, and Sacred Games. And the same thing holds true for Varun as well. His strength lies in his authenticity. His dialogues never feel out of place. Just simple words that land like thunder. And he's someone who builds from deep on ground research, always starting his writing process with questions like who are these people? What is their dialect? What society are they a part of? What's their economic reality? And because of these fundamentals, every word, every slang, and every silence feels right. Masan is hands down one of my all-time favorite pieces of writing. And now I've got Superboys of Malegaon sitting right next to it. Let's move our attention to the performances and the characters. And I'm going to be talking about the three main guys in this movie. And just to get this out of the way, there are no stars here, but the cast is packed with talent. First and foremost, we've got a legend of the game, Vineet Kumar Singh. And sadly, even though he's a legend as an actor, he is still so underrated in the Hindi film industry. In this movie, he plays a flawed, ego driven artist that you just can't help but relate to. And here's something you would know if you've ever created something, or if you're a budding artist or an established artist even. Art is never just art. It's your soul out there, your most vulnerable self that you're putting out there, whether that's music, whether that's painting, whether that's movie, whether that's acting, whether that's even a bloody YouTube video here. And when your art is belittled, it cuts deep. And Vineet captures that rawness to perfection.
जुबान आती ना दुनिया का कायदा आता, बस लोगों का फायदा उठाना आता। तेरे को लगता है तू बहुत बड़ा ओरिजिनल आर्टिस्ट है ना? हाँ हूँ मैं। और याद रख, राइटर बाप होता है, राइटर।
Next is Adarsh Gaurav, who is kind of the central character of this movie. The entire movie kind of revolves around him, and he's the guy who sparks the idea to make a movie.
मुंबई को इधर लाना पड़ेगा। क्या मतलब? इधर ही पिक्चर बनाते ना।
As far as actors go, people talk about Siddhant Chaturvedi as the next big thing, but honestly, Adarsh is just in another league. Just look at his range, man. His role of Dota in Hostel Days, the diabolical street rat survivor in The White Tiger, the complicated and nuanced Neil in Kho Gaye Hum Kahan, and the funky Jugnu in Guns and Gulabs. And here too, he doesn't disappoint. He's just as magnetic as all of his other roles, and every flicker of pain, joy, ego, and even anxiety shows in his eyes. And then the MVP of this movie, Shashank Arora. I first noticed him in Titli and then saw him in Made in Heaven. Here, for most of the movie, he's just a pushover friend who's always taken for granted by everyone around him. But in the last act, when he's diagnosed with cancer, that's when his character has a total overhaul. And right after that scene, this dude has the most powerful dialogue in this movie, and definitely one of the best dialogues I've heard in a long, long time. जाना तो सबको है, डरने का क्या है? कुछ बिना किए चले जाएंगे इस दुनिया से. चांस मिलता ना तो कुछ बन सकता था. And that line hit me like a sucker punch. It was such a heartbreaking line that still carried a sliver of hope. And if you're someone who's ever experienced a true existential crisis at any stage in your life, this line should definitely resonate with you. And exactly from that point in the movie, the whole thing just has a seismic shift. The gangs puts aside their differences and they make Shashank's character, the invisible pushover friend, the Superman of Malegaon. Now let's talk about the emotions in this movie and that final scene. The emotions is really where this movie is absolutely untouchable. As the movie progresses and as you go along the journey with these characters, you feel their struggle and their sadness in the monotony. You laugh with their awkwardness and their jugaad and their overall goofiness.
हाँ चलो नेक्स्ट बासमती चल चल बिंदास ए बासमती
And very importantly, you share their creative rush whenever they're on their way to make a movie, whether it was their first movie or their last one. That energy on the screen is electric and it's viral. It rubs off on you. And here's the thing, what you're looking at on the screen and how you feel is almost identical. You almost feel like you are a part of this film crew and you've got this rush and you have got all this pent up energy to make something. And that's what hooked me the most in this movie, because it's the same rush when an idea hits me and I just can't stop chipping away at it, even at 2:15 in the night. And I have to. I absolutely have to talk about the last 15 to 20 minutes of this movie. That entire sequence when the movie is being shot to when it is being exhibited is such a roller coaster of emotions. It's a rich cocktail of sadness, gratitude, pride, and joy all at once. And that is so rare. And that's what makes it one of the finest in cinema. There's this one tiny detail that's been snuck into the movie at different points, that Shafiq has always fostered this dream of flying, and his friends made a Superman ripoff in Malegaon to fulfill their friend's dream. They put him in a locally done Superman costume. They even employ green screens, though in a very rudimentary way, to show their friend flying on the screen. And even while this movie is being shot, and he is in this really shoddy Superman ripoff costume, I can't emphasize this enough. But what I felt in those scenes, looking at this guy in that costume with his cape flying, I got the exact same kind of feeling that I got when I was watching Superman in the theaters last month. That whole sequence was just so full of hope and positivity, and that's everything that Superman ever stood for. And here's a sneak attack. It's surprising how a bunch of Indian filmmakers had a far superior grasp of what Superman represents and what he stands for than Zack Snyder and his Snyder Bros. And okay, now coming back. The movie is shot, it's edited, and now it is showcase day. The hall is packed with audience. Everyone is settled in. And then the scene kind of starts funny. Shafiq rolls into the backseat of a fancy car. He's escorted by his friends inside, and he's dressed up kind of like Rajkumar from the 70s. And then one of his friends who's wearing sunglasses, he just hands them over to him just to add a little zing to the celebrity. Now, this final act of the movie, including this scene, really just spoke to me about a bunch of friends making their often neglected friend feel like the most important person in the world and giving him one last hurrah, giving him a night where he feels like he's somebody, and giving him a tribute in a way that immortalizes him for years and years to come. Now, I'm going to zoom in a little. While the movie's playing inside that hall, you've got Vineet, Gaurav, and Shashank sitting in very different places across the hall, and it's like a 5 minute sequence. You've got no dialogues, just facial expressions and a heart wrenching background score. And man, that is the best scene I've seen all year. And I'm not kidding, I was silently weeping on my couch because that's just how powerful this final sequence was. Volume spoken within those moments, and yet no words said. And that's the note this movie ends on. Alright, so that was all about the movie. And now I want to take a moment and talk about the bigger picture and why this movie really matters today. For years, almost decades, everyone's been saying that Bollywood's lost its way. And I admit I'm a part of that camp. But honestly, it has. You've got either big budget films like War 2 that have zero quality and solely relying on star power, or you've got these cookie cutter heartland dramas, and 7 out of these 10 movies would have Rajkumar Rao, 2 would perhaps have an Ayushmann Khurrana, and the rest with whoever's free. And the third kind is endless remakes. And I believe it's all clutter, all noise, and zero creativity. Honestly, I've nearly given up on watching any Hindi movies in the theaters. But then a film like Superboys of Malegaon comes along. It's proof that cinema doesn't need massive budgets, big stars, exotic locations, or recycled successful plots. What it needs is heart, character, and craft. This movie has all of that, and it truly deserves all the recognition, the cult status, and all the love. And on that note, that's it for this chapter of the Millennial Bard. If you've watched the film, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you haven't, I am recommending this movie with all my heart. It's on Prime Video right now. Watch it, share it, spread the word, and shower this movie with all the love. Also, here's another thing I'd love to get your thoughts on. Should I finish and release that War 2 rant that is still sitting in my laptop, or should I move on to better things? Please tell me in the comments below. And like always, if you enjoyed this video, please hit that thumbs up button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to stay updated with the latest and the best from the Millennial Bard. Until next time, this is the Millennial Bard signing off.